Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Black History Month event. I'm really pleased to be here. I have always enjoyed the Impact graduation ceremonies, and I look forward to the day when they can resume in person. I hope that won't be too long, because it is always great to see what the good people of Imperial can achieve when they are given the opportunity and encouragement and support. I mean, it is my aspiration, and I hope I speak for the whole senior leadership team when I say that it is our aspiration that Imperial can truly become a university where everybody can thrive and give of their best, whatever their background. And we know that we are certainly not there yet. But there's a whole slate of work going on over the last several years in order to try and make important progress on these fronts. Things that have been happening recently are that over the summer we submitted our first ever application for a race equality charter mark, and this required us to do a deep dive into our data on our ethnic minority staff and students, and to understand their experiences and to develop an action plan in order to address the issues that we discovered. And we did discover quite a number of troubling issues, and we have made some very substantial commitments in order to try and address those. Last week, you may have seen the college notice that the Imperial Together project has launched, and this encapsulates a number of initiatives which are focused on our values and our behaviours, and these are precisely the sorts of things that impact people's day-to-day lives at the college, and give us, I think, a renewed focus on the culture of the institution, with a particular emphasis on foregrounding our kindness to one another, and to remind us day to day of the importance of the way that we behave towards one another. And then finally, just briefly, yesterday, you may have noticed there was a news article reporting that the college's history group, which has been looking at the historical legacy of Imperial's really rather deep links with colonialism and the historical baggage that that has brought with us from the 19th and early part of the 20th century and right up into the present day, and has given us a much better understanding of how that impacts the current experiences of our minoritized staff and students, and come up with a series of rather bold and some would say provocative recommendations about how we are going to address that. And the underlying principle behind that work is to again make sure that we are an institution that is really thinking about everybody who comes here and their experience of Imperial College as a place to work and as a place to study. So, across a number of fronts, and obviously this is a very complex territory and these are complex problems that we're trying to deal with, but across a number of fronts, we are trying to make serious progress. And one of those efforts that's been relatively long-standing is the Impact programme, which has been supporting Black and minority ethnic staff at the college for a number of years now. And so today is a great opportunity for the participants in that work, hopefully to reflect and give us their insights on what the scheme has meant for them and of course their own experiences of the college. Because in all our endeavours to make progress, the one thing that I have learned is that it's absolutely essential to be listening to people on the ground and people at the sharp end of what the day-to-day experience and what the culture of our university is like. So welcome to everybody, and I will hand over to our wonderful host for this event, Gabriella.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you for that. So just to give you a quick rundown of the agenda for today's event. So I'll be giving a quick insight to what Impact is for those of you who don't know. We will then be inviting our panelists one by one to introduce themselves and to speak a little bit about some of the work that they do, so we can really hear from them and hear their voices. We would then move on to a Q&A session where you will also get a chance to ask some of your own questions to our panel members. So that being said, I want to get into just a little bit of background information about Impact. So IMPACT stands for Imperial Positive About Cultural Talent and was initially established in the college in 2014. The programme was designed to provide an opportunity for staff members to be able to reflect on their culture as well as organisational culture and how it can add value to the workplace. It also provides a safe space to start thinking about our goals, thinking about some of the barriers that we face, both personally and in the workplace, and how we can overcome them. The reasoning for putting in this programme is just, if you look at the race equality report from Business in the Community, only around 1 in 13 Black and minority ethnic workers were in a management position and just 1 in 16 in a leadership position. And this decreases significantly for women in those communities, especially compared to white women. So there's a real need to make sure that our voices were heard, that we tackle some of these challenges head on, and that everybody begins to feel, like Stephen said, welcome at the college. And we have been making some great work in these fields. We've had a multitude of projects that have come out of the IMPACT programme. Some of the most notable ones quite recently is the Shift in the Lens campaign that was running last year, which really highlighted and raised our profiles of Black and minority ethnic colleagues within the Imperial College community. But I'm not going to talk too much. I have been leading the programme for the past, 7 years. So I can speak all day about how wonderful and great IMPACT is. But it's really time to hear from our delegates. And all the delegates that are on the panel today are both past delegates from previous iterations of the programme and some of our most recent graduates as well. So that being said, I want to hand over to our first graduate, which is Christopher. So Christopher, if you'd like to come and introduce yourself and speak a little bit about the work you are doing.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, hi, there we are. Oh, wait. Yeah, so my name is Christopher Bamikole. I am a lab manager and section safety coordinator in the Department of Metabolism, Digestion and Reproduction. I've been at Imperial for about 8 years now, almost 8 years. In November, it'll be 8 years, so it's been a while. One of the projects that I'm involved in at the moment is the Shifting the Lens project, which I'm sure you'll probably hear about in more depth from some of the other delegates. But the idea behind that is that we aimed to highlight the Black and minority ethnic staff and students that have often been overlooked in their fields and departments, just to show that there is a rich tapestry of diversity in the Imperial College community. Another sort of secret project that I am currently working on with some friends of mine from university, it's a bit more unofficial. It's called My Brother's Keeper. And this is something that I'm passionate about. And it's a bit of a funny story, actually. So the project actually comes from a story in the Bible about Cain and Abel, where Cain actually kills Abel. And he's asked where his brother is, and then he says he's not his brother's keeper. And the idea behind it is something that really resonated with us about being your brother's keeper. And the idea behind the project is that we had all struggled to get to the positions that we are in now. We're all in sort of mid-level positions at the moment, but we really struggled to get there. And if there was someone that was more senior in our role, or if we'd had access to someone that was more senior, that had the experience and expertise to direct us and to talk through some of the ideas that we had, we all thought that we'd be a lot further than we are in our long-term plans. So it's something that it's the whole be the change that you want to see in the world sort of thing, right? So it's something that we decided that we'd do for junior staff. And yeah, so the idea was just that we'd firstly befriend junior Black and minority ethnic staff. And I primarily it's to befriend them, to show them that there are a number of different types of people working at Imperial College. And then secondarily, the idea is to encourage them and to help them to develop themselves. Myself, I'm personally very passionate about personal development and professional development. And so one of the things that I do is when I befriend junior staff and students as well, is I also just try and ask them what their next steps are and how they plan to develop themselves, their short-term plans, their long-term plans. And the other aspect of that is holding them accountable in a positively critical manner. So yeah, that's sort of one of the projects that, well, those are the two projects that I'm working on at the moment. One is official and the other's a bit more unofficial, but yeah, that's that.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Chris. And that sounds really exciting, actually. So we're really looking forward to hearing a little bit more about that if you're willing to share with us. Next, I want to bring on Demi. Demi is one of our most recent graduates. Demi, if you'd like to introduce yourself. You're on mute, Demi.
I always do it. It's always me that does it. So good afternoon, and I hope that you're all keeping well. My name is Bamikole, and I work for the Department of Surgery and Cancer as a postgraduate education administrator. And I've been working at Imperial College since September 2019. Next slide, please. I help to look after two courses, the MRes in Cancer Biology and the BSc course, Cancer Frontiers. Within both courses, students are required to undertake project modules whereby I am responsible for sending out the project call, collating projects to send to students, and assisting with project allocations. Students are given the option of picking from projects from the project list or are able to design their own bespoke project. So a lot of the some of the projects, the external projects that some students have picked are from the Crick Institute and the Institute of Cancer Research. Next slide, please. So now I'm actually going to pass over to you, and I'm going to ask you to vote via Mentimeter on how many students you think, how many projects you think students have undertaken while I've been a course administrator. This is not inclusive of projects that students are currently choosing now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop in the chat the Menti, and then I will share my screen with you all. Just bear with me. Okay, if it wants to let me type. Sorry, my screen's just frozen for a second.
It's okay, Demi. The link is in the chat.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. Let me just share with you. I do apologise. Can see it changing. There we go. Okay, it's quite interesting. Okay, so I'll give you a few seconds more just to vote. Okay, so most popular 315. So the answer is actually, is actually 210. Sorry, do you mind sharing my slides again, please? Thank you. So yes, so the answer is actually 210. Next slide, please. So it's extremely important that both students and staff have a good experience from the moment that the projects are circulated. I take great pride in knowing that I'm able to listen to feedback and update my methods to make this an enjoyable experience for both students and staff. It is important that students have a good experience, as many will go on to study PhDs. And also I act as first point of contact, so I'm responsible for answering any questions that staff and students may have. Part of my job is finding new ways and new technology to make this process smoother, as I'm sure you can imagine it hasn't always been perfect. The course lead is actually said that we should maybe move to doing project fairs via the internet. So what we decided to do is use GatherTown, as a project fair. This was certainly well received by students and staff members, and we actually are planning on doing this with the other course. Next slide, please. So just to thank you, I would like to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to my presentation and everyone who supported me through my impact training.
Thank you so much, Demi, and I look forward to hearing about more what you've got to say in our Q&A section in a moment. Next, we have another one of our most recent graduates, Laurene, if you want to introduce yourself and speak a bit about what you've been doing.
Hi, thanks, Gabriella. You can also mute that's fine. So yeah, my name is Laurene Ichikaya, and I joined Imperial 4 years ago, originally with Enterprise Engagement Team. So that was 4 years ago, and working in events and marketing. Last summer, I joined the Research Project Management Team, or secondment, as Product Support Coordinator, and I've been working with this team ever since. So essentially what I do in my job, excuse me, is I support the projects with delivery, some financial aspects, meetings, event management, operational activities, etc. So I work with my team, as well as academics and researchers from institutions and sites from across, mostly across Europe. And the projects that I've been working on since I've been with the team have been Perform and Diamonds, and these are European Commission funded projects. So Perform, bit of a tongue twister, these two, so bear with me. Perform is personalised risk assessment in febrile illness to optimise real-life management, which the project was running between 2016 and wrapped up this summer. Diamonds is diagnosis and management of febrile illness using RNA personalised molecular signature diagnosis, and Diamonds is the sister project to Perform. I don't have a medical or scientific background, but I've been supporting the team and been welcomed with open arms by all of the consortium and also from the team, and I feel a sense of pride of being involved in some projects which are so important in the change that they're making in the research over the years. So that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Laurene. So as you can all see, we have such a wide range of staff members that do come on to this impact program from a wide range of different areas across the college. And as you can see, a lot of the work they do is extremely interesting. And they come onto the program knowing that it's quite intensive. So it covers 6 workshops plus 4 action learning sets and additional project work. And they do that on top of their day-to-day. So as you can see, we've got quite a good and talented cohort of people. So now I want to bring all our graduates, Impact alumni, onto the screen so we can have a bit of a Q&A session. And while we are doing this and having their cameras come on, I also want to introduce one of our other past Impact graduates, Grace Adeyemi, who has also been a fantastic delegate to have on our program. Adeyemi, my apologies. So welcome to join us in our Q&A, Grace. And if we could just get Chris as well, if we could just get your camera on, just so we can all see you. Perfect.
And okay.
And we're there. And please, for the audience, if you do have any questions for our delegates, please do put them in the chat, but we will open up the floor to you towards the end as well. So kicking off, I want to start with Grace. Why are you proud to be an Impact alumni? You're on mute, Grace. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So why am I proud to be a Impact alumni? So many reasons. I joined Imperial in January 2019, and I think actually being part of the program in September of that same year, Impact really felt like a community for me, like in every sense of the word. So later on in that year, the actual content of the program was really beneficial. for me, especially as a Black woman, in terms of addressing the like very specific needs and like concerns that I had. I was able to do that in a safe space. So thinking about like, what does leadership look like? How do we navigate the organizational culture at Imperial? I felt really empowered, like having conversations about the different like leadership models and styles and how best I could think about working on my own potential. And I think I wouldn't have picked up the skills that I did without having that community. Like working in HR, like I've always really enjoyed that. I think at the same time, it was a very sort of specific experience because I was really only engaging with my team and then people within HR. But then by the time I joined Impact, I think I was able to definitely connect with a wider network and see about, I guess, the different ways I could contribute aside from just my sort of day-to-day job. I think I've definitely developed meaningful relationships with the people within, you know, the Impact network. And just for example, Chris works like in a completely different side of the college, but being able to work together like on the Shifting the Lens campaign, and you know, highlights the profiles of staff and students in the community. That's been a really rewarding experience.
That's really great to hear, Grace. No, thank you for that. And I want to put that question to the other panel members. Is there anything that you want to add to that about why you are proud to be an Impact alumni?
I'm happy to say it's just, as I said to Gabriella before when we was all setting up, that we're a family, and it feels that it's nice having somewhere where you belong and people that you can talk to, and just kind of picking up from what Grace said, and that you can connect with a wider network. So it was people with shared experiences that you didn't think that you wouldn't usually have connection with. So it's really opened up the doors for me personally, and not only in my work life, but in my professional life as well, that it just gives you that a confidence that you didn't know that you had there, but it's there. So I thank you all again just for allowing me to be a part of the Impact programme.
Thank you so much, Demi. So, okay, I'm going to move on to the next question. If there's anything else anybody wanted to add to that, but I think both Grace and Demi really summed it up quite well and quite succinctly about what it means to be an Impact alumni. But I'm going to open this question out to all of our panel members, so feel free to just jump in. What would you like people to know about you that they don't already know? Because the whole premise of Impact and these sessions is to get to boost your voice, to empower you, and to make sure that we are no longer hidden. So what is one thing that you'd like people to know about you that they don't already know? My panelist on the spot.
I guess the thing I'd like people to know about me is that I'm more than my job title, as in that there's more to me than my job title, and there's so many layers to me and things that I do enjoy, and sometimes that there's things in life that we feel that hold us back, but we've all got the same struggles essentially, and that it's nice having shared experiences with people, as I said before, that we can come together and work as one for the greater good.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that, Demi. Thank you. Anybody else before I move on? Okay. Well, I will also answer this question because I am also a past Impact alumni. So when we first brought Impact in 2014, I was actually working here as an apprentice, and we had an outside consultant come in, but we really wanted to make sure that impact was tailored for Imperial, by Imperial. So we brought it in-house the following year, and I've since then spent that time working on evolving it, making sure that it meets Imperial's needs. So I have also grown with the program. So that's one thing that people may not know about me, but yeah, that I'd also like to share. But back to Grace, how has impact impacted you?
So I'd say, again, so many ways. I would say on a personal level, meeting great people that I'm still in touch with. We have like our WhatsApp group, and I think if not for the situation with lockdown and everything, we would have I guess met up quite a few times. But I think as well, like with the shifting the lens, we rolled that out last year, and since then have so grateful to the college for all the support, with bringing this campaign to life, because it was part of our presentation to graduate from, the impact program. So been able to bring that project to life and to even expand it further, has been great. I'd say aside from the projects and the relationships, around the time that I graduated from the impact program, I was promoted to an advisor position in my team, and I think the timing of it was just amazing, because I could definitely see the confidence, like the difference in my confidence, and I was able to start to apply my learning. The program goes through like theory, case studies, role play exercises, the project. I had an amazing mentor. So so many different elements, and I feel a lot of what I gained on the program has definitely still stayed with me.
That's really great. That's really great to hear. And I don't know if Chris wants to add to that as our next long-standing impact delegate.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So funnily enough, I applied for the impact project for the year prior, but I wasn't able to get into that one. So I was adamant. I was adamant that that I'd get on in 2019. 2019? Yeah, 2019. Yeah, funnily enough, the first session, I met someone in the group who worked in the faculty that I had an interview with the following week. So she basically helped to sort of put me at ease, and just to put me at ease with regards to my experience and my abilities for the role that I was going to be applying for. So for me personally, I've always been ambitious and always been willing to try new things. However, I haven't always really had the tools to appropriately channel that in the correct manner. And I think one of the things that the impact program has done is that it's sort of given me those things, and it's helped me just to focus myself a bit more and be a bit more applied in my actions.
Thank you. And building on that, so what would you say your perceptions were of yourself and the program before impact and after impact?
Me?
Yes, Chris.
So that's a good question. So my perceptions of myself, I was, yes, in a similar sort of vein that I wanted to develop myself, but I didn't quite know how. And I've always been a fan of taking courses and doing doing as much training as you can. I personally believe that your salary should be the minimum thing that you obtain from your employer. And there are a bunch of things that you should be obtaining that maybe some people don't really know or don't really appreciate. But yeah, there's so many additional things on top of just your salary that you can get from your employer. So one of the things I've sort of done is I've sort of opened my eyes to those sort of opportunities, and I've begun maxing out on my study leave, for example. I don't know if many people realize, I think you get like 4 or 5 days study leave per year. That's outside of your annual leave. So my perceptions of myself and my perceptions of the course, I was quite cynical about the whole course to begin with, because I thought it would just be a sort of thing where they tell you to be more confident, and you just, okay, well, that doesn't really help me in anything. But it's more about giving you the tools to deal with specific situations that you may find challenging. And once you practice and once you experience that and once you role play that, then that gives you confidence. That gives you the confidence to then go out and try that and challenge that. So my perception of myself was that I was eager, but I didn't quite know exactly, I didn't quite have the skills, and I didn't quite have the tools to fine tune the experience and abilities that I had already. And I feel like that's one of the things that the course has given me.
Thank you for that. And last question I'm going to throw directly at you, Chris, I promise. So what message would you give to staff members who are looking to grow in that sense?
The message I would give is to be brutally honest with yourself. And I think one of the things that really interested me is that, so a few years ago, I was applying for jobs because my mentor said you should be interviewing twice a year, which means obviously you should be applying for more than that anyway, right? Just to know your value in your current field. So I was applying for jobs maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I applied for like 10 jobs and I didn't get one interview. And I had to really take a look at myself and say, are you actually good enough to do that job? Do you have the skills? Are you qualified to do this job? And so I think if you want to grow, you really do have to be as objective as you can with yourself and positively critical with yourself as well. If you don't have those skills, for instance, in my position, I didn't have those skills. So I then did a gap skills analysis where I said, okay, well, what skills do I have and what skills don't I have? And then I was able to go away and train and get the skills that I needed in order to get the job that I'm in now. So I think it's just a case of being brutally honest with yourself. And if you may find it difficult to do so, maybe find a mentor or someone, a colleague that you trust, and have that conversation about, okay, what do I need to do to get to the next level? How do I need to grow? How do I need to develop myself? And not be willing to fail as well. That is the other thing, because failure is only a step to success. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Thank you, Chris. And did any of the other panel members want to expand on that or add anything to that before we go on to the next question?
I would just say invest in yourself and trust in yourself. So invest in yourself and also in your potential, because essentially you're going to learn something and along the way, right? So it's going to be whether it's kind of professionally or personally, and there's a lot of what I've learned this year in the program and a lot of the other delegates that we've, the conversations that we've had. But essentially, yeah, if you're looking to grow, there's something that you need to do in order to move forward. There's nothing really bad that's going to come from it. You'll only gain. So as Christopher was saying, in terms of training and things along those lines, and I think it's great you mentioning mentors and so on, and the training days that are available at the college. So just take the time and just know that you can move forward, because you're the only person that is able to do that for yourself, because it's not going to be, no one's knocking at your door to sort of just give you kind of a free handout in that sense, and just if you work for it, essentially. As cliche as it may sound, it is true. Good things will come out of it, essentially.
Thank you so much for that, Laurene. That's really interesting to hear, and I agree with you 100%. Invest in yourself, whether it's doesn't necessarily have to be financially, but invest in the time in yourself to grow. It's really, really important. But one of the premises of impact is, again, creating that community, creating that space and supporting each other. So a question I have for Demi is, what does intersectional allyship mean to you? And why do you think that's important?
So I actually come from a mixed race background. So both of my parents are mixed race. So at times I've always found it a little bit difficult finding, where do I fit in? Do I fit in with my black side, or do I fit in with my white side? And impact gave me the tools to understand that I actually fit in with everybody, and that we all have experiences that all that do either limit us or may be a hindrance, but we've got to overcome it and find ways together, what joins us together. And yes, so I think that it's really important to have that allyship, just so we can progress forward in life.
Yeah, no, thank you. And again, is there anything else anybody wants to add to that? Move on. Okay, that's fine. So I'll move on, and this is again an open question for any of our panel members to answer. So what more can we be doing at Imperial to support your growth and development? Chris, I know you've just recently mentioned about using up your study leave days, but what more else can we be doing as a college community to help support your growth and development?
I personally, oh no, go.
Demi, then Chris.
Sorry, I tried to jump in there. So I think it's I do think Imperial is extremely supportive. I must say, in all of the universities I work for, this is definitely the most inclusive and with the most opportunities to develop and learn. So for example, so following the impact training, my manager recommended that I join the Culture and Engagement Committee, which are doing some really great things within our department. And it's giving you that voice. But I also do agree with Chris and said in the terms that you have to invest the time as well. So I think that you've got to find the training that does suit you for your needs as well. But I do think that Imperial is extremely good in giving those opportunities, impact training, for example. Yeah, so I mean, personally speaking, I think that for me, that there's nothing further I can do. They've given me the tools, and now that's for me to build on what I already have.
No, thank you, Demi. Chris?
No, I totally agree. I feel like Imperial does actually go above and beyond. There's a lot of stuff out there. There really is. I feel like sometimes people aren't always aware of what's out there. So there's a slight disconnect there. And I think if you're able to traverse that, then I think staff and students will really be able to benefit. I think maybe it's a case of having senior staff or like line managers and whatnot just encouraging their junior members to find out what's out there, because it took me a few years to figure out that I can take, like, I don't have to be it took me a few years to figure out that I don't need to be recommended to do a training course. I can just sign up for something. And then obviously if it's extensive, then I'll need my line manager's permission. But a lot of training courses I can just sign up for and do in my spare time. And if I'm really passionate about it, I can take a half day and burn up some study leave or burn up my annual leave if I'm that desperate about it. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. I think sometimes some of the junior staff members aren't aware, and it's just there's that small gap that we need to just cover.
Sorry, can I just add something there as well?
Yeah, sure.
I think that it's also important that we talk amongst each other, even for junior staff members, to talk amongst each other about what is available. So for me to say, I've done within my department, I've done this, it's really great, I learned such and such, and then for people to build on that as well. So I think that we need to have more conversations within our departments and with our teams about what is out there as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'll come to the questions in the chat in a moment. But building on that, you've all addressed about what will help make you grow. But Laurene, I want to ask you, what are some of the things that you took away from being on a program like Impact?
Some of the points have already been touched on. For example, meeting different people from across the college, even though the program was held this year online. Gabrielle, I know you mentioned at some point, hopefully in the new year, that we'd be able to get together and meet in person, which is fantastic. So that when we are on campus, it's kind of like nice to know that the community that we have built in this year's program, that, you know, we could meet up for a coffee or just discuss any kind of like achievements or concerns that we might have, and from, you know, people that truly understand, especially having gone through the program, but also kind of different backgrounds, whether it's for different reasons. I would say some of the things that I took away from it is realizing that a lot of other people in the same position. Sometimes you can sort of go through, whether it's life or kind of career, and sort of just forget that you're not alone in that sense. So it's and then just sort of bringing forward any of the things that I might be thinking about kind of like career-wise, and then throughout the workshops, addressing those and some of the kind of, I wouldn't say issues, but just points that I hadn't necessarily realized that, you know, or taken the time to sort of put forward and think about and assess and think to myself, oh, actually, you know, I can improve on certain things, whether it kind of like being my career or kind of like my career development, and taking accountability really for my career choices, and what is it I want to do with my career and where I want to go, and really think about it in the future in real detail, and just having a space to speak about it and a safe space within with the other delegates within the program. Also just recognizing my potential. Some of the within the workshop, some of the exercises they were doing were great, because sometimes you forget, for example, in the career pathways with Beth Stillwood that we did, she mentioned, you know, oh, every 6 months, for example, update your CV and your cover letter, because it is true that you can go 2 years and really sort of just not really acknowledge, or sort of also kind of forget in a way just what you have achieved, and sort of that exercise, not necessarily if you're going to be applying for a job, but also to remind yourself of your skills and your achievements and your experiences that you had, so sort of putting them down on your CV. What a better place to have them if you want to eventually use it for new applications, and fantastic. But I think it's a great way as a reminder to yourself. But other not so little things, but other things that's for me taking away is of speaking more in meetings, just as a reminder that every opinion matters, whether myself, and, you know, listening to others more as well, feeling more comfortable speaking, which is in progress, but it's just knowing that I can put myself forward, that if there were a presentation, I wouldn't be initially sort of terrified of doing it, sort of thinking to myself, oh, you know, you can put yourself forward for something rather than shy away from it, which admittedly I have done in the past. And one of the points that we learned was nobody wants to see you fail. And that was one of the points that really resonated with me in one of the workshops. And there's a reminder to sort of kind of put myself out of my comfort zone, kind of see what I can do, and, you know, what I can achieve. So yeah, and then just finally, the just sense of pride for myself and all the other graduates from this year, including Demi, for the commitment that we had during the program, and just really sort of throwing ourselves into it and dedicating ourselves, and all the hard work that we put towards our projects, which Grace and Christopher, of course, will know about, and basically their projects came to fruition, which is fantastic. So just a little well done on that. It's nice to kind of like meet you and see the faces behind your amazing work that you've done. So thank you.
Thank you for that, Laurene. And a question that I want to put out to the entire panel is, there's a lot of people that will question the need or the relevance for having targeted programs such as Impact, when we do have a lot of other leadership opportunities available. So I just wanted to ask you, well, what would you say to people who would be hesitant to join these targeted or these specific programs?
Do it. Just do it. Get your application in. No, I definitely would recommend doing it. It even just for your personal development, yeah, just get your application in.
I would echo the same. You know, it's not just sort of a tick box exercise, the impact program. You really do get the support needed, and it's a safe space where you can voice, you know, your concerns. So yeah, I'd definitely say just yeah, put your application forward.
And
I honestly believe that I learned as much from the people on the course that I learned as much from those people as from the actual course. When you have a bunch of people that are like-minded, that have gone through the same experiences that you have, and are like-minded in terms of wanting to develop themselves, then that is a really interesting mixture. And I feel like there is a peer-to-peer learning / support system / networking relationship that does occur. And I think that, like, I've learned so much from the guys on the course, and I hope they've learned something from me. But yeah, like, I've learned a lot from them, just even outside of the course, or looking at the professional decisions that they've made, and then picking their brain as to why they've made those decisions, and then seeing if I can translate that into my own personal life. And so, yeah, I think part of it is the course, which is really good and I would recommend, but part of it is also getting in the room with people that are like-minded and willing to sort of, yeah, just have an honest conversation with you, really.
Yeah.
If I could just say one note. So really, some of the reasons why maybe somebody might not be thinking about applying, I would think probably be the reason to apply for it. So if it's kind of like have a hesitation, like, oh, I don't want to sort of, you know, might be putting myself out there too much, or I'm a bit nervous, or, you know, if you're lacking in confidence in any area of your life or professionally, then that's the very reason really to sort of put yourself out there. I've seen so much within myself growth and within the other delegates from this year, and that's even just online, that kind of like noticing that. So just from what everyone else has said, essentially it's just, I mean, I've been speaking about it to everyone, whether it's, you know, within my team, and, you know, also you know, in my personal life, and even sort of being like, oh, well, you know, I can speak to you about, you know, imposter syndrome, or kind of like, oh, I have a note to share with you about assertiveness, because it can really sort of translate to so many different areas. So I've kind of become an official spokesperson on my side. So, but yeah, I just as everyone else was saying, I think definitely, you know, you really have nothing to lose in sort of joining, but there's so much to gain. So if you can, definitely apply.
Thank you for that. And the last question that I have before we open it up to the audience, so do think about any questions that you may have, is both to Laurene and Adeyemi as our newest impact graduates. So being newly graduated, how would you encourage others to see themselves as leaders?
I think, so for me, when I started the impact program, there was workshops that I didn't actually understand. So imposter syndrome, I didn't know what that was until I started learning about it, and I was like, oh goodness, that's what that is. That's why I'm apprehensive. And I something that I also took away, I don't remember who said it, but you only regret the chances that you don't take. And so, I mean, it does help you become a leader. It gives you all the tools that you need to know and develop from them, and how to change your own behavior, as Chris said, and what can you do in yourself to make yourself better and make yourself more appealing.
Thank you, Demi. Laurene, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so this goes back to week 2 of our workshop, which was leadership versus management. And, you know, they sound like such big words, but essentially, kind of like from my take on it, if it's like leadership, it doesn't need to be that you need to be like a CEO to be, you know, a leader. You can be a leader at any point in any fashion or in any way, really. And it's something that at any level that you can be a leader. If you're looking to sort of make change or inspire or encourage, well, then you're already a leader. If you're looking to kind of share something positive and to be able to help or encourage another, then you have that leadership and you have the potential to be a leader to others. So that'd be my take on it.
And Grace, Christopher, for being a bit more long-standing Impact alumni, is there anything you would add to that about being able to see yourselves as leaders or encouraging others to see themselves as leaders?
Definitely. I remember so clearly that the session we had on the leadership and management, and I think just really I took away this sense that there's not a one size sort of fits all, when it comes to leadership. And you can be yourself and still, contribute, not just in terms of how you do your job, but also within, the wider community. I think prioritizing personal development as much as possible as well. It then means that you're continually working on, becoming a leader, continually sharpening the tools that you've got in order to be the best, the leader. So, I definitely say a lot of what I learned has, definitely still stayed with me.
Brilliant. Thank you all. I'm going to go to our chat now because we do have some questions for the audience. And the very first question is actually towards Chris. So from Harbijan, who's asked, what more can we do to publicise what is available here at Imperial College in terms of development opportunities?
So I was thinking about it, and it is a really good question, to be honest. Personally, I think there's so much valuable information that's stored or buried, unfortunately, in emails. As a research technician for over 5 years, I would often spend a lot of my time away from the computer, or like 99% of my time in the lab or in secretary. So I don't really have significant access to these emails outside of maybe lunchtime when I just sort of want to just relax and whatnot. I really do think that maybe adopting a more multimedia approach is a way to maybe target some of the staff or students that maybe, I don't know, not reading all of the emails and whatnot. I really do believe that line managers play a critical role in this. I think that line managers should take a more active role in the development of their staff. Perhaps via the PRDP process, we can challenge senior staff to encourage junior staff to seek out this information. Because I've had managers that support me and encourage me to do so, and I've had other managers that support me to do my role, but nothing else. So I think it's a case of once you have that variability, what you need to do is you need to sort of standardize that. So you need to find a way to create some sort of standard way that senior staff are encouraging junior staff to grow. And maybe that's via the PRDP pathway, or maybe it's via something else. But yeah, I think line managers do play a critical role in that. And I think that if you access or exploit them appropriately, you can get the end result in terms of accessing all the junior staff and getting them to sort of take up this training that's available.
I think you make a very good point there, Chris. Definitely. I don't think anybody would disagree with you there. So thank you for that. Next question, again, this is an open one to the panel, is what made you decide to actually initially apply for the Impact Programme? So what was your, why then, what was your motivation? And that's from Sheena. So what was your motivation for applying for the programme?
It was actually recommended to me in my PRDP, funnily enough, by my line manager, who actually suggested, I think this would be really good for you. And when I went to apply, because of COVID, it was, unfortunately, it was suspended for that year. And I forgot about it, and I had another PRDP, and my manager said, well, you said about that last year, let's follow it up, get your application in, get it done. So yeah, I definitely had the backing of my manager. But then when I looked into the programme a little bit more, so one member of the team had also done it, and it was a really, really enjoyable experience for her. And then when I went through the modules on the website, I thought, this would definitely be something that I would be interested in. And it wasn't until I started the programme how much I realised that I actually needed it. So my mum always says to me that you're not confident enough, you don't stand up and speak up for yourself enough. The assertiveness training, that definitely gave me the confidence that I needed, to the point where I think I was driving everyone insane, being assertive in my decisions. But yeah, I mean, that was what prompted me to do it. But once you're in the programme, you can't doubt how great it is.
Thank you, Demi. That's such a ringing endorsement. So thank you. Is there anybody else that wants to take on that question?
I'd say on my side, I was looking for a way to connect with like the wider community, and I went on Google and I put in like Imperial, BAME, community, and then when I saw the impact program come up, I was just so happy, looking through the modules, looking through the experience of people that had graduated. So I made a note to apply for when the next round was advertised. So yeah, really happy that I went for it, and definitely saw it as an important opportunity for me to invest in my personal development. And even I'd say through just joining the impact program, I then found out about other ways of being part of communities, such as the Imperial as one. So yeah, that was how I got to know, and that was the reason why I applied.
Brilliant. Thank you, Grace. I'm going to move on to the next question, because I do think this is a very important question, and I know it's something that we speak a lot about, especially in the beginning of the impact program. This question is from Areti. In terms of time to do the program and the development you have done since, how specifically do you feel that you were supported to fit it in? How did your managers specifically demonstrate this support that others can learn from?
For me, once I'd gone to my line manager and just told her about the program, that I was interested, right away she was like, yes, I think this is fantastic. And she was fully supportive from the outset, from any of the time that I needed to attend the workshops, which were within work hours, and obviously we all did some work outside work time also, but my line manager was incredibly supportive throughout the process, and just also, with the graduation and after that. So that was like a massive help. So that's been definitely appreciated. So it's been a cherry on top of everything, just to make the whole summer and the program a lot easier to do. So.
Thank you, Nancy. Anybody else want to add to that? About how their line manager supported them for the program?
Well, in my case,
you go,
Chris.
I jumped in too much.
Well, in my case, my job was quite flexible anyway, so I was able to take the course and take those days out, or those half days, and then I would just do my work afterwards, and just as long as the work got done, they didn't really care what time it happened or how it happened. So that was how my line managers supported me.
Fair enough. Demi?
Yeah, my manager was incredibly supportive as well. So I was in quite a fortunate position, and a little bit like Christopher, as long as my workload was managed, it was fine. Also as well, my manager also advised, asked me would I like to be part of the Culture and Engagement Committee. So I was quite lucky that I've got a very supportive manager where opportunities came and doors opened after this as well. So being part of the Culture Engagement Committee, I just feel like I have a voice within my department. So hopefully going forward, I can kind of spread that a little bit more and expand. But I definitely think having a supportive manager is great. But even if your manager's not supportive of it, I think try if you can, just to explain the benefits. And I'm sure anyone here would be happy to kind of say how good it is to your manager or anything such as.
Thank you. Thank you. And there's a lot of good conversation in the chat with a lot of people agreeing with everything that you're all saying. And one of the last questions that I do have is, has Chris ever considered becoming a motivational speaker? Chris, I don't know if that's ever something you've considered. You're on mute, Chris.
I would have to modify the career plan significantly. But yeah, maybe I'll take it under consideration. Thanks.
Okay, but one thing I would like to say to all of you, you all demonstrated your growth, your willingness to partake in various activities post impact, and that for me truly demonstrates from where I've seen you all start from the beginning of the program to where you are now, how much you are all beginning to step into not only yourselves but into those leadership roles and leadership positions in various ways. And when we say leadership positions, it doesn't necessarily mean top graded jobs, but just putting yourselves forward and out there for other people to see, for other people to get to know, and to just really showcase your skills and everything else. So I'm very proud, because in the theme of Black History Month is proud to be. I'm very proud to see the growth that you've all done and come a long way to doing, and I hope to see more, definitely. And thank you so much for being willing to be a part of the panel. And I just want to do a quick shout out to all the other past impact delegates that are in our audience as well, because I know we do have a couple there. So thank you all as well. And I think if we have no more questions from the audience, then we can wrap up here. But I'm, again, really proud of you all. Thank you so much for coming on our panel discussion today, just to really share your experiences of the programme, because it is so important for others that we are leading the way in this and creating a way for other people to feel like they can be themselves and belong at the college. So thank you very much, everybody. And thank you very much to our audience for joining today's session as well. Hope you learned something from this, and hopefully you will take it back to your areas as well, and we'll see what more we can be doing. So thank you all. And just a little plug, you can see what events we have coming up on our Imperial website, or do follow us on Twitter as well. So thank you, everyone.